Hi there, thank you so much for tuning into this webinar. My name is Gregory Brennan. I'm the Sustainable Transportation and Infrastructure Manager with Virginia Clean Cities. That is a mouthful. But here today we are talking about the Dominion Energy Level 2 EV Charging Access Program. If you'd like to know more about the program and how to apply, please follow the links below or email one of us directly with your location and how the application applies to you. Our programs and providing workplace charging not only for your staff and customers, but for the public in Gordonsville. If you'd like to know more about becoming a workplace charging partner, please reach out to me, Gregory Brennan. My email is below. And again, thank you to Patch Brewing for being a charging partner through the Empower program. If you are ever in the Gordonsville area, please go visit them and hit them up for a nice burger, maybe a brew. Thank you so much. And with that, we will start talking about the Dominion Level 2 EV Charging Access Program, and I will hand it over to Stephen.
All right, thanks so much, Greg, and great to be on the line with everyone today. As mentioned, my name is Stephen Goss. I'm a program manager on Dominion's electrification team. I've been with Dominion for about 4 years now, and very excited to be leading our Level 2 EV charging efforts and coordinating with customers to help expand EV charging and access to EV charging within the state of Virginia. Um, if you can see my screen, I'm going to be kind of diving right in to give a good overview of what our EV charging access program that we just recently launched looks like. Walk you through a bit of some of the benefits of the program, the application process, and then happy to answer any questions at the end. Let's jump right in. To give a little background, several years ago, probably about 3 years ago now, Dominion was working pretty hard on our electrification team to establish some new programs surrounding electrification in response to what we were hearing from our customers around the growing proliferation of electric vehicles. And in response to that, we put together some fairly robust programs that were hoping to really reduce barriers for a lot of our customers who seemed at the time to be maybe left out of the EV charging space. And so what that first looked like is what you see on the screen, our level 2 charging program, our fleet charging program, and Dominion's public energy charging program or pricing program. And I'm happy to chat with anybody offline about these, but these are the programs that we provide that offer direct incentives to our workplace, multifamily, commercial, and fleet customers to reduce costs associated with infrastructure investments, reduce capital, and also improve on maintenance for EV charging so that we can kind of provide turnkey services for our customers. We have a lot of different maintenance plans or not maintenance plans, but incentives and payment options associated with those. So I encourage anyone on the line to look into those as well, especially as those kind of are what gave birth to the program that I want to talk about today, which is our EV Charging Access Program. So essentially, our EV Charging Access Program takes it one additional step further, where Dominion is trying to make sure we reach all communities with giving affordable access to EV charging. And particularly with the advent of our EV Charging Access Program, which we just opened an application window for in December 31st, so just fresh at the beginning of this year, we're aiming to provide no-cost EV charging for communities located in environmental justice areas. And so what that's going to look like is that we're looking to partner with commercial customers, in particular multifamily customers, which tend to be some of the most underserved groups when it comes to EV charging, but also fleet customers and the like, to try and provide these incentives to help kind of bolster these efforts to expand EV charging in underserved areas. We do have, as you can see on this slide, some pretty limited availability since this is our first iteration of this program. Essentially, we're looking at under our level 2 program, we have 10 spots available for our multifamily customers. and then an additional 10 spots for just our commercial customers. And I will say that while we have a minimum of 10 spots for commercial customers, for multifamily customers, we can potentially add more under our commercial customer allotment if the need arises. But it's very limited, so we encourage folks to work with our partner, Virginia Clean Cities, to look into our application process and to really put together a solid project that we'd be able to partner with you on. But to kind of get into the more detailed, the nuance of the program, some of the key features include this no-cost installation for our customers. So eligible customers would receive full installation costs and ongoing maintenance of the EV chargers. So not only are we providing a turnkey service to you, we'd be working directly with our licensed contractors to put in all make-ready infrastructure necessary for a project, as well as installing, owning, and maintaining on your behalf at no cost to you EV chargers as well. A couple other key features associated with this program are the credits, or essentially what we call a revenue credit associated with utility infrastructure costs. So for any project that Dominion engages in for the customer, we incur some kind of construction costs associated with energizing a new site. But we have what's called our revenue credit, which essentially we look at what type of load the customer is putting on the system, in this case, EV chargers. And we are able to apply a credit towards any kind of costs for utility upgrades associated with maybe a new transformer or running secondary up to where the metering point will be located. And typically that covers the entire cost of the utility infrastructure. In the instance that there would be an upfront cost, we would work closely with you all to determine what that would be and how we could minimize it. But I can say that in 90% of the cases, we don't run into any costs whatsoever, because the credit will cover it. And then finally, a key feature of this program for our multifamily communities is that it puts the community in full control of their charging. Not only are you able to have control over who accesses the charger, and when, you're able to dictate how much you want to charge for the usage for the charger. While Dominion is tasked with installing it and maintaining it at no cost to you, we give you complete control of the operations. So not only are you setting the fee, you're collecting the revenue. As a commercial customer, you're only responsible for the cost of electricity being consumed at your commercial rate. And so we would work with you to help you determine what the best rate for your community would be, and to kind of help you along the way to provide support and ongoing maintenance throughout the life of our agreement with you under this program. So now we go a little bit more into the weeds about what is actually covered by the program. And I'll spend a little bit of time, if you can see this graphic at the top of the screen, because it gives a great idea of how our program is laid out. So if you look in the middle of the screen, you'll see, if you can follow my cursor, the electric meter that would be located maybe on the outside of your building, or even in maybe an electrical room inside of your building. Everything to the left of the electric meter here is going to be Dominion-owned and operated utility infrastructure. Maybe your distribution lines overhead or underground, depending on where you are, the transformer you see outside, all the infrastructure that Dominion owns and maintains day in and day out to keep the lights on. That's the utility infrastructure. That's what I was talking about, is eligible for those utility credits if we're having to energize your site for a new service. Everything beyond to the right of the electric meter has traditionally been customer owned, which means Dominion hasn't really had the ability to go on beyond your meter to touch that infrastructure. But with these programs we have that we're talking about today, we've been given permission by the State Corporation Commission under our Level 2 and fleet charging programs to go beyond the meter to install, own, and operate that infrastructure on your behalf. And what's great as part of this small carve-out that's included in our L2 program for the EV charging access program is that not only are we able to go beyond the meter to install and own and maintain that on your behalf, we're able to do it at no cost to you as a qualifying environmental justice community. So what's that going to include? First off, I've mentioned already, if you can follow along at the bottom, the utility infrastructure is included, and we have credits that will cover all standard utility construction. And so we can review with you what the standard procedures are and protocol for standard utility construction, but odds are most folks that apply would have most of it covered. It also covers the electric meter. Dominion, as part of our program, we prefer to install a new service for all of the EV projects that we encounter. This increases reliability. It makes things a lot easier, not only for Dominion, but for our customers as well, because we're not tapping into their existing house panel, reducing capacity that they may need for future upgrades. We're installing a brand new dedicated EV service that you all can use, and if you want in the future, expand upon. However, if the infrastructure that's on the ground makes it so that maybe it's more cost effective to go off of your house panel, we're willing to work with you and completely able to work with you to really meet your own needs. Um, what's covered next on the customer side is going to be what we refer to kind of in the utility space as the EV supply infrastructure, or EVSI. I think it's more easily referred to as make ready, because really this infrastructure is everything that's needed to make a site ready for an EV charger. So it actually doesn't even include the charger. It's going to be, if you can follow my cursor, this box here, everything between your electric meter and where the charger will be located. So it's going to include your panel, your electric panel. It's going to include any cable or conduit that needs to run underground or above your head if you're in a parking garage, to supply electricity to the chargers. It'll even include the concrete pad that the charger sits on. And for the purposes of our program, we include everything along the lines of design, engineering, permitting, installation, and that is make ready as well. Obviously, under our EV charging access program, there is no cost associated with this infrastructure. From design and permitting to installation, it's all done at no cost to the customer. And then the final piece is what's referred to here as EV supply equipment. That's just another word for the charger. Under our program, and I'll go into this, I think, on the next slide, we have two options. Through our program, they're basically you would either go with Tesla or with ChargePoint, which are the two options that we provide. And it really it's based on your use case and what your needs are. But what that looks like is on the screen now, we have some models up of the ones that we provide. I will say that under our level 2 charging program, our EV access charging program, which we're talking about today, we do not provide any DC fast charging options. It's only level 2, which is really what we find to be the sweet spot for EV charging in the multifamily and commercial space. And so these two on the left, if you can follow my cursor, represent the options we have: Tesla and ChargePoint. We've had great success with both of these options. I can say Tesla has been one of our largest installs lately as part of our level 2 program, our regular level 2 program, and as well as ChargePoint, which Dominion has one of the largest workplace charging programs in the country, and over 450 chargers now, and they are exclusively ChargePoint chargers. So by participating in this program, you would be able to choose one of these to put at your location. And they offer very different configurations and models to meet the needs that you all have. So some of the minimum eligibility criteria to be eligible for the program. Of course, there is an application process associated with being selected for one of the spots in the Environmental Justice EV Charging Access Program. But in order to submit an application, there are a few criteria that you have to meet first. Obviously, you need to be an environmental justice community. We have created an online tool that can aid you in verifying that your site is located in an EJ community. It's our EV hosting capacity map. It has a specific layer for a GIS layer for indicating EJ communities. You can just put your address in, click enter, and see if you're located in one. We have a guide on how to do that, and I can link it at the end of this slide deck, and I can ask my colleagues at Virginia Clean Cities to share it as well. You must also be a commercial or industrial customer with Dominion Energy. Unfortunately, we do not have any under this specific program. There are no residential incentives available, but I would encourage you, if there are individuals looking for residential options, we do have a residential program. And I'd be happy to connect you with our residential program manager to look at what some of those options could be. Obviously, you must be authorized to make decisions about installing EV charging at your location. And specifically in the context of multifamily, we work solely with either property management organizations, boards, or HOAs. Those are the folks that are able to make the final decisions on behalf of the community on over what is or is not installed and locations. And so we aren't able to talk to individual unit owners or tenants, strictly HOAs and boards and property management organizations. Next, you must request at least 2 level 2 charging stations for any customer involved. So for a multifamily, you would need to put in at least 2 single port stations. And just for clarity, I'm going to go back one slide. So from our program perspective, we define a charging station as a pedestal, one freestanding pedestal. So you can see a charging station can have 1 or 2 ports on it. We need at least 2 charging stations. So it can be 2 single ports or it can be 2 dual ports, any combination of that. And the reason for that is a requirement under our program for reliability in case someone backs into one of the pedestals, the charging stations. There's still one that's operable and able to charge vehicles. In the multifamily space, we do see a lot of folks, just because space can be limited, that just want to put in 2 single port charging stations. But we have no theoretical limit to how many stations we can put in. So we encourage you to look at your infrastructure, work with your community to see what the needs are, how many EVs you have currently, if any, and determine, if you want to start small with just a couple chargers, or if you think putting in 4 to 6 chargers might be a better solution for your community. The next requirement is that you must use a Dominion Energy approved contractor to do all of the construction work associated with the project. We have licensed contractors that we have approved to do specifically for this program to do our projects. They are well versed in working with Dominion in our territory and working specifically within the requirements of our program. And so they will be responsible for performing all make-ready and charger installation work under the program. So it's an upfront incentive that we would be providing to install everything at no cost. And then one of the final bullets here, we put this in that you would need to be able to provide any type of easement or access to the property. Typically, Dominion, for access to utility infrastructure that's located on your site, we already have an easement in place. But there is a small chance that occasionally there may not be one. In which case, if you all were selected to move forward with a project under this program, we would need to obtain that easement first. So we would just need you to acknowledge that you would be able to not only give us an easement to solely go onto your property for the installation of any utility infrastructure or program-related infrastructure, but also to agree to install one of those separately metered services that I described earlier. And then finally, you must agree to sign our program terms and conditions. The terms and conditions will be one of the first things that we share, and I believe we even have a link to them on not only in this document but online as well on the application. Those can be signed at any time. There will be a final contract after your community has been selected and we've gone through the process of scoping and putting together your final participation contract. Signing the terms and conditions is just simply helping us now to get through any kind of review and ask any questions that you may have. So we encourage you to review them now and sign them at your convenience. They come straight to us, and we put them in our inventory until we're able to start reviewing projects. So this slide gives a good idea of what the customer journey looks like. So starting at the top at phase 1, for a customer to go in and start the application process. And so you want to verify that your site is eligible for the program using that EV hosting capacity map that I described earlier. We have a link right here to that hosting capacity map. I believe this link actually goes to that verification guide, which also links to the map. And so it should give you everything you need to walk you through step by step in order to verify that you are within an EJ community. Once you have verified, you can then return and submit an online application. The application process doesn't take very long, but I will say that the more detail you're able to provide, the better. It's great for you to have already in mind how many chargers you'd like. where you'd like them to go, and just give us a general idea of why you believe putting chargers at your location would be a benefit in your area. Um, we expect to have a high volume of applicants, and understanding that we have limited availability, we want to be able to best serve as many of our customers as we can. And so to that extent, we are excited to have partnered with Virginia Clean Cities on this effort, knowing that we should be able to reach a lot of folks to educate them on this program and hopefully be able to offer more things like this in the future. Once you've submitted your application, we'll move into phase 2. And then that's when Dominion will engage in our application review and our customer selection process. Once we have selected customers, we will reach out to those customers to confirm their site design and confirm the charging equipment that will be most appropriate for that site. Finally, we will have the customers, if they have not already, sign our terms and conditions and then execute our final participation agreement contract. Once that contract is signed, we can it green lights us to start working with our contractor. We issue what we call our notice to proceed, or NTP, as you can see in step 3 here. They begin design, engineering, submitting for permits, and ordering materials. At that point, once permits are submitted and back in hand, we'll hold a final on-site meeting. We call it a pre-construction meeting with you, the customer, to confirm the scope, make sure we're doing everything to your preference, and then we will begin construction. After that, once construction is complete, we'll work with you to help set up your charging network, get you trained on how to use the software for the charger, and then provide support along the way as you need it. We anticipate generally from the time in step 2 here that we get you to sign an actual contract with us, and we release the notice to proceed to our contractors, generally around 5 months until you're able to charge a vehicle. Some of the biggest roadblocks that we run into are naturally permitting, which can be significantly delayed depending on the local jurisdiction. But fortunately, Dominion and our contractors are well versed at working with local jurisdictions to try and overcome any issues that may arise. And so my final slide is just an overview of some of the some helpful links and the application timeline. So as I had mentioned, the application window for this program opened on December 31st of 2025. It will close on April 30th of 2026. And so we've got just over a month and a half left. Dominion will then spend the next month or so reviewing applications, doing any additional follow-up we need to do with applicants, and then finally making selections for the program.
Thank you, Stephen, for that presentation. Like I said in the beginning, if you have any questions and would like to know more about the program and about how the application works, and if you qualify, you can follow the links below, or you can email me, Gregory Brennan, with Virginia Clean Cities directly. Our information is below, as well as a link to the presentation that he gave today. Thank you so much, and we hope to hear from you soon.